And Tal, as always, thank you for being with us, and thank you for supplying the mental excitement, which is Tal's feature.
Bye. Cheers. See ya. Bye. Can I do that again? I need to do that again.
No, leave that in. Bye, see ya, whatever.
Edit that out.
And Tal, thank you also for supplying the excitement, which is Tal's feature.
Bye. I can't do it. I don't know.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
The problem is how many times I say it, you're now going to edit it with all these versions in.
Yes, we may have lost Tal. Sorry.
Sorry. If he had a stroke.
I'm trying to find something and I can't, but that doesn't matter. It's all right. It is relevant to the show. But
do you want us to wait, Tal, or should we carry on?
Go ahead.
Four men in a wormhole.
Welcome to Four Men in a Wormhole. I'm Stephen Gurevich, your host and becoming ever slightly more hairy face of the podcast. And joining me as ever this week, we have Simon Cohen. Hello.
Hello, Wormies.
Wormies, not Wimmies.
Not what?
Not Wimmies, but Wormies.
Wormies, yeah. But now I've said it, I don't think I can carry that off. I don't think I'll do that again. Hello. Stick with that.
Hello. And welcome to our other fellow Wormy, Tal Silverman.
Hello.
Wormy. Hello. And of course, to the most learned Wormy of them all, Adam Leach.
Good evening.
And Adam Leach is bowing with stature and wisdom for those of you listening in. And I
shall dispense my wisdom now.
Thank you for warning us, because we might be overpowered by that wisdom. As always, thank you for joining us on our show, our regular ramble through all things sci-fi. We're four wonderful friends who like to discuss, debate, and guess what may actually be the truth behind many of the shows we're all watching. So with that, we're going to dive straight into our regular section. What sci-fi have we enjoyed this week? And straight away, over to you, Simon.
To me, brilliant. Well, you'll know that I'm a bit of a Marvel fan, but actually I just finished watching a DC series, which is Pennyworth. Do you know Pennyworth?
Yes. No, he's Batman's butler. Is that
Batman's butler? Yeah,
So Albert Pennyworth, right?
Yeah,
Alfred.
That's right. Alfred, yes, Alfred Pennyworth. Right. So Pennyworth, the show, which is on a channel called Star Plays, which you can view through Amazon Prime, is basically the story of Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler, growing up in London in the 1960s. And it's a bit weird, it's a bit odd. It's like an alternative London where there's these extreme sort of far left and far right sort of violent fanatical political groups that he gets caught in the middle of. And yeah, it's a bit of a romp, and there's lots of violence, and the guy that plays Alfred, whose name I forget, is very, very good. Actually sounds a lot like Michael Caine. So yeah, I really recommend it, and you can get Star Plays for like £1 a month at the moment on special offer. So I don't get any of that though.
There are other channels available. So just to ask you about it, you said it's not that it's based on. That was going to kind of be my question. You said that it is a bit like a younger Michael Caine. Do you think they've modelled it on the Michael Caine take of Alfred from the Batman movies? I
definitely think they've said to the guy, "Can you do a Michael Caine impression?" And he's done his Michael Caine impression, and they've gone, "Perfect, do that." And honestly, he does it so well. And Michael Caine's got one of those voices that you just sit and listen to all day.
At any point, though, has Alfred blown the bloody doors off?
He doesn't blow the bloody doors off. He doesn't talk about it. There's no spear throwing. But other than that, it's pretty much Michael Caine.
Question, because obviously we are here to discuss sci-fi. Are there any technology elements? I mean, the Alfred in the most recent Batman DC movies is actually a bit of a technological whiz. Is there any gadgets or technology?
So there's no evidence of that coming from him. There is some computer technology that looks a little bit ahead of its time for the 1960s. I think the biggest sci-fi element, though, is it's kind of sort of, as Batman is in a way, it's sort of set in a slightly alternative universe. So it's London, but it's not London. As if things have sort of taken a strange sort of skew in the 50s and 60s and just gone a bit weird. But it works. It's not, I don't think it's particularly big budget, and some of the sets and scenes are not that great, and at one point you actually see the Shard in the background when they're running along the embankment, but it works as a show, so it's good fun.
Adam?
Well, just you say it's low budget. Does that mean there's only 1 or 2 people per scene? Because that's obviously the measure that Steve has on the budget. If there's lots of people per scene, then it passes Stephen's test.
Stephen, you'll be happy with it. Big budget, Stephen. Big budget.
Big budget.
Yay! Yeah, yes, that is my. Well, I won't go on it. I wrote one about it. Please watch the last episode to find out my views on Doctor Who and the lack of people. All right then, Simon. Thanks for calling that out. My highlight of the week. I'll dive in at this point. I've actually kind of got 2 short little things. One is really just a kind of a PR exercise, but I think it's interesting. Is that Star Wars video games, and if anyone who's been listening to our previous episodes would have heard me discuss how The Mandalorian, Rogue One, and Solo aside, all the best recent storytelling has actually happened in the video games, in my opinion. And Lucas Arts have now taken back control of, it would seem, the publishing, or at least the co-publishing of their games, and they're rebranding them all under Lucas Games, which is what the original company was called back in the day. Now, that I don't think they're developing any games themselves. Adam,
I was just going to say, no, I thought you were going to say something else, but I know there is a new game being developed, isn't there? An open
there's
world.
Many, yes, many new games being developed. Because they've had a 10-year exclusivity deal with EA, and that hasn't ended yet. But I believe the new games will come out when the exclusivity deal ends, so they'll overlap each other. But what's interesting is they have multiple games in development with multiple publishers. So Ubisoft are doing an open world game. I'm really hoping, because it's being done by the people who did the Division and Division 2, so I'm really hoping it's set in the world of the Mandalorian. They create massive games where they've recreated the whole of New York or Washington. I could imagine a massive like Mandalorian type thing, maybe where you can fly between planets, and in effect, well, imagine being a bounty hunter, guys. Just imagine living the Mandalorian experience. I would be into that totally. Adam, you're shaking your head.
No, only an
ironic. To you?
No, I think that's good. I think Star Wars is, especially with the Mandalorian, I think Star Wars is perfect for an open world. Traveling between the planets, going into different bars, getting different missions. That would work, I think, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole of the Mandalorian, the last 2 seasons were very much computer game-esque, weren't they? Speak to someone, get a mission, fly the mission, come back. You can imagine it all as a game.
So they haven't said that's what the Ubisoft game is, but I'll put money on it because it seems to, as you've said, fit the format. And then EA are still also working on some new things, including supposedly a sequel to the Fallen Jedi game, which I told you had really not only good graphics but great storytelling. So for me, that was quite exciting because actually video games offer many years in advance. So I've now in effect got a bunch of stuff to look forward to into the future. And then my other highlight, which ironically is contrasting because it's not looking forward to the future, is I went into our loft and I sorted out chucked out a lot of stuff, and then I found all my old Isaac Asimov books. And I think I've mentioned before, I own every story I think he's ever written. I mean, not just the Foundation novels, but his short stories, the robot novels, even the ones that he never completed because he passed away. And another guy, Nick or someone, I've forgotten, took and finished a couple at the end of his most recent series of books. And I have them. And I've got a Kindle like many people now, and that's how I read. But I didn't chuck the Asimov books. I put them out as a thing to look at, and at some point I'll take them back off the shelf and go back through them again, because that actually worked out. Even with the Kindle, it might be convenient, but it costs quite a lot of money to buy all of that again. And so as it's something I will want to revisit, or it's something I really value, a bit like the complete works of Sherlock Holmes or Shakespeare, or all the Sherlock Holmes stories, they're nice things to have. So yes, a bit of sentimentality was the highlight of my month. So
Nice.
that,
Nice.
so before I go to Tale, Simon, you got a
Yeah,
question?
just sort of following on from the for the Star Wars stuff, which was much more interesting than the Asimov stuff. Did you see in the news this week the pictures of the set for the Kenobi TV show? Which is being filmed in. They've built a set, which I presume is of Tatooine. You can see the pictures of these sand buildings in Little Marlow. Because obviously a lot of the Star Wars stuff is filmed in the UK, and the Kenobi show. I don't think it's called. I think it's just called Kenobi rather than the Kenobi Show. But yeah, they're filming that. Well, I think they're starting to film it soon, or maybe they've started already. And I don't think it's out till next year though. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, just go and Google Little Marlow Star Wars set. You'll see little pictures of buildings made of sand. It looks really cool.
Nice.
It looks massive, and obviously the tabloidy rubbish press likes to always skew a story, because I did see it couple of my Google News about how the locals are in uproar of this.
Yeah, that was the story.
It's in a quarry. No one can see it. It's in
I know, who's complaining? Whereas there's probably about 3 people from Little Marlow that complained, whereas half the town are probably going, "Oh, cool." So
yeah,
but yeah,
it's a
Kenobi show.
Kenobi show.
Charles Silverman, what has been your sci-fi highlight of since the last show, the last 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, the obvious thing to mention is WandaVision, but I know we're not allowed to mention it, so I'm not going to go into it.
No one mentioned WandaVision.
No one mentioned WandaVision, but obviously I have watched the WandaVision, and I think we all said we were going to decide further down the line whether we actually thought it was sci-fi. So the jury's out, but I did enjoy the first 2 episodes. That's all I'll say.
But we don't need the jury. We just need Toll's opinion. We could just shortcut the discussion and just go straight through it. What does Toll think?
Probably not sci-fi, but
right,
it's still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. So I have enjoyed that. I'm glad they put the 2 episodes together, because the first one obviously was just a complete scene setter, and it does need to move on. I think even after the second one, it needs to move on. But I think the first two have been.
Did you think they needed to do 2 episodes? Because how long were the episodes? Half an hour, 40 minutes?
Short, half an hour. Yeah.
40 minutes of reproducing a rubbish 50 show wasn't enough. So we had to have another 40 minutes of it just to really bed the point in.
Just in case you're not aware, Dick Van Dyke is a consultant on the show, so he can help with the tone of the old format of sitcom.
Nice.
That's
Brilliant.
So cool, isn't it? I just moving away from the is it sci-fi, isn't it sci-fi, and was it any good as a Marvel show or not? I thought it was hilarious. Like, I laughed all the way through. All of the first episode and most of the second one, which I just wasn't expecting from a Marvel show. I thought it was funny, but then
that's what I struggled with. I think in that I didn't find it entertaining. I was like, okay, I get it. I get what they're doing. I could have had 20 minutes of that. They're stuck inside some sort of Truman Show thing. Now let's move on. But no, we had then an hour of it, and I was like, this is not funny.
Well, I want to get us back on track.
Yes.
Away from. So we're not discussing that. We're not discussing it.
It's not as funny as the Phil Silvers show. That was always my favourite of that period. But Tal, we'll come back to WandaVision. Tell us your sci-fi highlight.
Yeah. Let's stop talking about the non-sci-fi. So I guess I think the other thing I've watched this week actually was on Adam's recommendation, which there's not going to be anything remotely funny said in the next few minutes, because it's quite a dark sort of show. But it was The Midnight Sky, which was a Netflix movie. It's starring and directed by George Clooney. And it's based on a novel by Lily Brooks Dalton called The Good Morning Midnight. It's a post-apocalyptic film. If you want a quick resume, basically George Clooney plays a physicist, a scientist who works at an Antarctic research station, and it soon becomes evident that the Earth is basically dying and all of humanity are doomed for extinction. So very cheerful. Everyone leaves the research station apart from George Clooney, because they want to go be with their families in their final moments. He stays there. Turns out he's got terminal cancer. So he's not got long to live anyway, and I think he just feels he hasn't got anyone, so he stays where he is. anyway, the long and short of it is there's also the science fiction element is also there's a spacecraft that's gone to one of Jupiter's moons to sort of inhabit, or they find a habitable moon of Jupiter. It's basically a discovery that George Clooney happens to be the scientist who discovered the planet or the moon that is habitable. And there's a research ship coming back from that moon, and they don't know anything about the disaster on Earth. And essentially George Clooney discovers them and then essentially spends his time trying to contact them to warn them to not bother coming back, essentially.
Adam?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I was saying the one funny thing I think about it, I thought it was nicely done. I kind of enjoyed it. I thought the one funny thing was that it took me a while to realise it was George Clooney. It's sort of George Clooney as you're not used to seeing him. I think so. I certainly watched it for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes and then went, oh right, that's George Clooney, which was.
Yeah, and it's a very minimal performance. The whole thing is quite slow in places. There's a lot of quiet moments and stuff. So from that point of view, I did enjoy it. I thought actually the way it was directed and filmed and scripted was good. For me, it still felt like even though I know why there were a lot of quiet moments and it was all about setting the emotion and the scene of what was going on. For me, it almost felt like a short story. I mean, I don't know, I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the novel's like. And obviously it might be written differently, but it just felt to me like it was almost like a short film made long. So it was like, it's almost the sort of thing that could work as a short film. And actually, because, but I mean, I'm not going to give away the twists and stuff, because there is quite a nice twist towards the end, which I know you'll be aware of, Adam. But yeah, it's a good film. It's worth a watch. I think. Yeah.
Excellent. So these have been the highlights of the week. We don't normally do this, but I'm just going to throw in the opposite to a highlight. What's the low light? A low light?
Low light.
I haven't done my highlights yet, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you haven't done your highlights.
I mean, we can change the tone and just get all depressive and just go around.
No, I totally forgot. Sorry, I thought we got into one division, but then I remember. Yes, you've spoken. Yeah, Adam. Thank you, Tal. Adam, would you like to tell us your highlights since the last episode?
Yeah, so I think much like Tal. So I watched a couple of Netflix. It's quite a good sci-fi on Netflix, and I just found rather not having the time to sit there and watch a whole film, but kind of watching it in bits. So I watched The Time Trap and Extinction, as well as the Midnight Sun. I've just forgotten what it's called. What's it called? Yeah,
Midnight Sky.
Midnight Sky. I enjoyed all of them. I think the one I enjoyed most, I think, was Extinction, which is a film. The lead actor is Michael. Is it Penner? He's the guy who's like Ant-Man's sidekick.
He's hilarious. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he plays brilliant in Ant-Man. But this is it's not a comedy role in Extinction. It's like he's like just playing it straight, as it were. He's really good in it. I thought it was a really good. It's a kind of alien invasion thing going on, but there's a bit of a twist halfway through it. It kind of changes up, and you realise things aren't quite what they seem. It's got a bit of that sort of Total Recall kind of thing going on in the beginning. You keep having flashbacks or imagining things, and you don't know how it all works, but it kind of pieces it all together at the end. It's quite good action scenes in it, so I thought it was quite good. I just had a quick look on Rotten Tomatoes just before. It got a really bad audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I thought it was good. And the other
Adam says it's good.
Yeah. So there we go. But the only one I just want to quickly mention, The Time Trap, also on Netflix. That was sort of interesting. It's got this cave. It's a bit of like a teenage movie in that like a group of teenagers go missing. They go down this cave. Time works differently in this cave. It's actually supposed to be like the Holy Grail. It's actually so sort of you can get in sort of live forever. And yeah, time passes really slowly. But when you go into the cave, everyone who's ever entered the cave is in the cave at the same time. So there's kind of weird sort of interaction between people that went missing 70 years ago to the people who just went there, plus cavemen and Spanish people, kind of sort of first
Spanish people.
Spanish people. Yeah, I was just saying that too, because it was in America and they were sort of discovering the new world kind of thing. Yeah.
And when do they come out of the cave into the same time, or
no? So time really goes really, really slowly. So that's part of the story. The only thing of note for me for it was that generally I get films, there may be, I finish a film and maybe a few questions of what happened there. This film ended and I was just like, I have no idea what happened. It literally ended. I went, I kind of enjoyed that, but I've got no idea what that ending meant. So I had to go and find a YouTube video to explain it. Oh, okay.
I had that with Bambi. But do you think our audience, when they come and join us in the Four Men in a Wormhole, do you think the Wormies, they have that same experience?
Well, get to the end of an episode and go, I have no idea what just happened.
What is that?
I think
time just goes very, very slowly.
Well, looking at our stats, I think we know that very, very few people actually get to the end. I think it's very unlikely that people have that experience.
Maybe the stats just paused and they're still stuck in that minute.
Yeah, they're in the wormhole. They're in the wormhole. Maybe
they're stuck at 4 minutes and 13 seconds and can't release themselves from it. Well, Adam, that's really I'm going to check that out. I think it's a really nice idea that people from different times, as opposed to time travel, there is a space they can go into where they mix. Outside of that, nice. They go back. I think it's a really, really nice idea.
Yeah,
so going back to a low light. The low light of my thing, which I did message you all about, but I think I'll share it with the audience, is as we mentioned a few previous weeks, some of us are quite into Dune, having watched the original movie and are interested in the new movie, and eventually we'll get around to reading the books. And there is a good quality series of Dune which you can watch, but it's behind a paywall and I couldn't be bothered to pay for it. But for free on Amazon Prime, should you want to torture yourself, you can watch The Children of Dune, which is the sequel. And it's got everyone in it. Susan Sarandon, Stephen Burkoff, James McAvoy. I tell you, everyone is in this and is the worst produced sci-fi thing I have ever seen. It is, I cannot tell you how bad it is. It makes Doctor Who at times look good. Which says a lot.
You're just baiting. I'm just baiting
you. So seriously, it is dreadful. So if you want a comedy and you want to laugh at something and you want to think, what are these actors doing in it? How much were they paid? Or were they just bored, or were they stupid and they signed something and then didn't know what they'd signed, and then you got to turn up. This is what you should watch. Adam?
I was just thinking, you say it's a low light. Actually, that sometimes just really not enjoying something can be quite enjoyable. Like just watching it and going, I really just didn't, enjoying the not liking of it. I mean,
and Stephen, you like moaning about stuff, so really, it kind of indirectly you did enjoy it. So
I never finished it. Put it that way. I think around 25-30 minutes into it, and I just thought my life is finite, and I won't get this time back, and I stopped watching it. So I don't know what happens to The Children of Dune, but whatever it is, I hope it's remade one day.
Is The Children of Dune a sequel by Frank Herbert? Because his son started doing, there's a load of prequels and sequels.
Well, I can only tell you what it says on the Amazon thing, and it says it's by Frank.
It is the Frank Herbert one, right?
Yeah. Good. So very, very disappointing. I mean, even the costume design, it looks like something done for a school play, or in some cases they've just, as opposed to anyone designing costumes for it, they've literally just gone, oh, well, we'll take a few of those nun outfits from The Sound of Music. Oh, we'll take this from Van Helsing. We'll take, and it has no, there's no. It's just rubbish.
Well, we can wait for the film. We're still waiting for the film to be released to get our fix of Dune.
So there you go, everyone. This is that was the highlights or lowlights of our week or two since the last episode. So we're moving on to a new segment, which Simon's going to run, which is called "What Is on My Wall." Simon, over to you.
Thank you, Stephen. Just so you know, there's an apostrophe. It's "what's on my wall," not "what is on my wall." But that's fine. We're only going to do this once, so you don't need to worry about it anymore.
It's important to get the grammar right.
I think so.
It says "what is on my wall" on our planner. It's your task. You didn't change it. I don't know what you want from me.
Oh, screw it then. Okay. Welcome to What Is on My Wall. This part has been a number of months in the planning, because I kind of, we're all in this world at the moment where we have to work from home, and we have our home offices, wherever that may be in the house, and we've got our video calls almost every day, or often many times a day. And I started to realize that everyone had really interesting backgrounds, as in walls behind them. And some people, you've seen all this, right? Some people have got their libraries, which are probably fake, but maybe they're not. And other people have got bands or music or sport or football players. Adam, what have you got?
Well, no, I'm just going to say some people do read books.
Some people, yeah, okay. That's fine. Yeah, but that most of them don't. You see the politicians on the TV as well. You're looking at the thing behind them going, you haven't read all those books. You just haven't.
In some cases, people have just recently been up in their loft and brought down.
Well, that's true. Okay, all right. I think my point though is that other people are more interesting than me, and have the evidence of it behind them. And so I've realised I had to make my stuff look a bit more interesting and get some stuff on the wall behind me. So I bought 5 different pictures, images, all framed. They're on the wall behind me. I'm going to show them to you in a minute, a sort of a flash of actually behind me, and then we're going to look at the sort of close-ups of them, and we're just going to go through them, and you guys are going to tell me what you see. And I think they're all quite fun. Adam, you got a question?
Well, have we turned into like a decorating show?
No, this is maybe people will get some some tips. I can maybe on the next episode I can show you how with the hammer how I actually get them into the wall. So we can go from interior design to no, that's going in the wrong direction and is definitely not sci-fi. So look, let's get straight into this. Basically, what I'm going to ask you to do, because obviously we have people listening and not watching, is I'm going to ask you to describe the picture that you're seeing. I'll come to each of you, describe as well as you can what you're looking at. Some of them are going to be really obvious, and some of them not so much, and then we'll just have a chat about each one. Yes, Adam.
I'm hoping this is going to be like Mr. Chips, say what you see.
It is. No, it is exactly like that. Yes, thank you. Maybe I'll even say what you see maybe once. We'll see if it works. Okay. Right. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take off my background so you can just see the wall as it is, but then we'll go straight into showing my screen, and you can see.
Can you do it square by square, Simon, like pixel by pixel, so that we can get a reveal? And then
like in catchphrase where you do it. No, I can't do that. If you'd have told me that last week, I could have done it. So okay, so there's my wall. You can kind of see them on the wall there. Don't start describing anything yet.
No, but you do look more interesting. Just even having done that,
having something behind you look more interesting. I know. I don't think I look learned yet, though.
No, not yet.
But we can work on that. So I'm going to show you the first picture. Can you see that? Tell me as soon as you can. Oh no, not that one. We're going to that.
Don't share the wrong browser window.
Hang on. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So we're going to go to Stephen first. Stephen, say what you see.
So I see a young man in a cowboy hat standing with a clock, big clock face next to him, and on the other side is a much older man also with a cowboy hat, and the time is. I don't know if the time's relevant, but it's got a time on it anyway. This clock, that's what clocks do. I can't read analog time. I'm reduced by dyslexia. Hold on, that is 6, 7, 8, almost 10 past 8, I think. Is that right? 10 past 8.
Yeah, very good. You can tell the time. Yeah. That's good.
No, I find it really hard. And it's a black and white photo, I think, or sepia photo, sepia type tone. And it's got some like a horse and cart in the background, so it looks like it's 1800s, early 1900s. And then it says in writing. Am I allowed to read the writing?
Yeah, well, once you read the writing, then I think everyone, if they haven't worked it out yet, will know exactly what it is. But yeah, go on, read the writing.
Yeah, it says to Marty, partner in time, September the 5th, 1885.
I think that's all that's needed. If anyone that's listening and watching doesn't know this, then I actually want them to just stop listening and never come back.
No, don't say that. Don't say
that. One listener now is going, I have no idea what they're talking about, and now they've insulted me. I'm going.
Yeah. Stop listening in 6 months when we've got people to replace you. Okay. So this is clearly the photo from Back to the Future, but only Back to the Future. This is Back to the Future 3, because that's when they go back to the Wild West. to when the original clock tower in the town of wherever it is they live is being built.
No, not Springfield. I was going to say Highfield. No, I'm trying to think of the name.
Springfield's from
Simpsons.
Yeah, but it's extremely similar to
Hill Valley.
Hill Valley, yes. Hill Valley. It's so similar to Springfield. It sounds like Hill Valley. That's the kind of level of similarity we have here, guys. So,
Stephen, when does Doc give this to Marty?
Oh, there's a good question. When does Doc give this to Marty? At the end.
At the end, yeah. When he arrives in his time traveling train.
That's right.
I really lost the plot with. It just kind of gets a bit weird, doesn't it?
I think we're just discovering you're not as learned as you make out because you keep watching things and not understanding them.
Wow, it could just be a charade of learnedness that I try and.
Well, I think you're proving it might be. You're proving it might be. So this is the end of Back to the Future, that ever so complex movie that children around the world found hard to grapple with.
I'm saying I lost it as in I kind of felt like it didn't have the same sort of it wasn't as good as the other ones is what I didn't understand what was happening. I thought
you lost the
no, I just kind of lost the interest in the trilogy.
Okay. Well, I still think it's a great movie, and I think it finishes off the trilogy, which it should do because
it was the I think I need to rewatch it because I thought it felt quite. It just all started feeling a bit samey once it got to number 3. How many different things can you get to 88 miles an hour or whatever it is?
But actually, in the three is the only one that doesn't really have a time travel component, does it? It's that actually they travel back. They kind of.
It has less. No, there's 3 different time periods, just about. In that movie.
Because he starts off in the present of then, and he
starts off in 55.
Oh yes, right. He starts in 55, which was that is now. But you're right. It starts with 55. He then goes back in time, and then he ends the film back in the future.
1985. Yeah.
You're right. No, you've convinced me.
It's brilliant.
Go and watch it again, Adam. You obviously didn't understand it.
Yeah.
My kids will explain it to you. Don't worry. Shall we move on? Very good, Stephen. And just I have to say, when I saw that you could actually buy this picture, I was just like, look, everyone should have this picture. I don't know why I didn't have it already. I think it's very cool. Right, let's move on. The next one. Let's go to Toll for this one. What are we looking at?
Oh, okay. So the key is to describe it without giving it away, isn't it?
No, do you know what? You can give it away. Just so this is the game isn't to we're just describing it so those listeners know what we're looking at.
So it's a poster type print, and its title at the top is "The Saga Continues," and it is from Star Wars. And it's entitled Star Wars Revenge of the Jedi. So you basically got a nice close up of Darth Vader's shiny bonts and then Darth Vader and Luke having a bit of a lightsaber fight in the corner. It's a very nice poster, like that. Very nice.
This poster is worth an original of this poster is worth £2,500. But Adam, you had a question. I think I know what it's going to be.
Well, I mean, I'm not as learned in the ways of Star Wars as other people are. So, so obviously, Return of the Jedi, I'm aware of. Is Revenge of the Jedi what it was going to be called?
Yeah. And it was going to be Revenge of the Jedi till quite late on. That they made the posters and distributed them to the cinemas, so it was quite late that they changed the name to Return of the Jedi. I think George Lucas realised that Jedis didn't get revenge. That wasn't their style, so they changed it to Return of the Jedi.
They returned, like coming back, like knocking on your door again. Oh, just return.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'm back. I'm just coming back.
Here's a question for you. There is a printing error in this picture. There's something wrong with it. What is it?
Yeah, Luke Skywalker, Luke Labbity Beep lightsaber. It's the wrong color. It should be green.
Yes. Well, actually, did he have a blue one and then switch to a green one? I can't remember, but they're the wrong way round.
They're the wrong way round, aren't they?
They're the wrong way round. Yeah. Darth Vader. Luke Skywalker's holding a red one, and Darth Vader's holding a blue one. They should be the other way round. It was a printing error, but obviously they never changed. Yes, Adam.
You said they were having a lightsaber tussle. Is in the Star Wars world though? That's just a sort of an argument, a family argument, isn't it? That's how they kind of just
resolve things. Yes.
Yeah, resolve.
Yeah. Just one more thing about this, and I know that I think Toll, you didn't know about Revenge of the Jedi. Adam and Stephen, I think you might have done, but I didn't know either until literally a few months ago, when I was because the Revenge of the Jedi is featured in Ready Player One, not directly, but the poster is, because H in his basement has a poster of Revenge of the Jedi, and when I read that recently, I was like, did he say Revenge? I was listening to it, so so it was Will Wheaton, and I was like, did he say Revenge of the Jedi? Did he make a mistake? And I was like Googling it, and then I realized that he didn't make a mistake, and this poster existed. And then when I saw that you could actually buy a copy of it, I was like,
oh, brilliant! Oh, I like that.
That's got to go on the wall. That's on.
I didn't know until I saw that. I didn't know about Revenge of the Jedi either.
Good. Well, there we go. I've educated the learned one. Let's move on. Go on, Adam. You can tell us a bit about this one. This is an easy one.
Oh. God, right. So it's an easy one, but I don't actually. Well, obviously, so what I'm looking at here is a poster that says Star Trek. It's in yellow and red. It's got Spock on the right-hand side, facing off against either an older Spock or Spock's dad, and it's got Mirror Mirror. And this is obviously referring to an episode of the first series of Star Trek, but that's all I have. So I'm going to hand over to Stephen because he knows this, and I clearly don't know what this is.
Well, the clues in Mirror Mirror. So, this is the Mirror Universe Spock facing off quite literally against the normal universe Spock. So the evil Mirror Universe, that's what Spock looked like, isn't it, Simon?
It is, yeah. Although they never actually faced off in the show. Toll, what were you going to say?
I was saying, sure, it's not Ming the Merciless. That's all.
It does look like Ming the Merciless. Yeah, this was the first Mirror Universe episode that came out in the original series, which I think is great. So in fact, I love all the Mirror Universe episodes of Star Trek. Chronologically, though, who can answer this one? What was the first Mirror Universe in the Star Trek universe, the Mirror Universe episode in the Star Trek universe chronologically? So obviously this one was out first because it was like the 60s, but what came first in terms of the shows in general, in terms of the
I know the Enterprise featured one, but I wouldn't know the name of the episode. So
you know, I can't remember the name of the episode either, but you're right, it's Enterprise.
It's not. Oh no, okay. I was thinking about I can't. No, I can't remember. I know it was Enterprise, but I can't remember which one it was now.
But yeah, so it started with Enterprise. So although this was the first Mirror Universe episode to come out, it wasn't the first in the timeline. And I've got two more pictures. We'll go to Toll for the next one.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
I like that.
Great.
That's good.
Great. Really
Stephen doesn't like it, but
there's no one in it. There's no one in it.
It's a low budget poster. No people in it. We are looking at essentially a big crack in the wall with some light shining through it, which is and the words Doctor Who in the bottom right hand corner, because it is the very famous crack in time from I think the Matt Smith. Well, did it overarch a couple of Doctors? It might have done, but it was definitely
it was just Matt Smith, but it did last like 2 or 3 seasons worth, I think.
Yeah, it was there a long while, and I think if I remember. Is it to do with the TARDIS exploding or something and making a hole in the fabric of space-time or something? I don't know. And he was was Gallifrey trapped somewhere for some of it? And I don't know. I kind of can't remember.
But you know what? It is really complicated. But I think you got most of it told. But basically, if you remember, in Matt Smith's final episode, he was by a crack in the wall for hundreds and hundreds of years because he wasn't supposed to say his name, which would have brought Gallifrey back and reignited the time war. And these bad guys called the Silence didn't want that to happen, and so the Silence blew up the TARDIS, so that event couldn't happen and the time war couldn't restart, and that caused a crack in the wall, which then ran for a couple of seasons with sort of weird stuff happening and coming through there. So, Stephen, did you get that?
Stephen Moffat. Yeah, Stephen Moffat at his best writing as well. So.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. And when I saw that you could buy a crack in the wall to go on your wall, that was just perfect. Like, had to have it.
You could have just cracked your wall, I guess, couldn't you? You could have just drawn a crack on your wall.
I could have cracked the wall.
Yeah.
Just got the sledgehammer out. So last one, we'll go to Adam for this. This is the weirdest one. If you can get all of this, I'll be really impressed.
I'm loving this. I'm looking at a. It's someone's head who's in a mask. He's got a sword. So the head looks like Deadpool to me. But he's holding the Eye of Thundera. He's holding the Thundercats Lion-O's sword from Thundercats.
Yeah, you're almost perfect on that. The sword is called the Sword of Omens.
Oh yeah, and the Eye of Thundera is the bit in the middle of it.
Yeah. But other than that, spot on. Very good.
This is some kind of crossover that we're just now dying to see, where Deadpool somehow finds his way into the Thundercats.
Do you know what? I mean, this is weird, right? I mean, this picture looks really cool to look at, but I'm just confused every time I look at it. It's like, what possessed the artist to have Deadpool holding Lion-O's sword?
I know, but Deadpool and Snarf would be great together. Was it Snarf?
Deadpool and Snarf, yeah, they'd make a good pair. Yeah,
we're going to have to do a feature one week on Mumra versus Deadpool.
Yeah, we should do. So just to finish up on this one, I spent some time trying to see if there was some weird link between Thundercats and Deadpool, because weirdly, this isn't the only version of it. There's a couple of different versions of by another artist of Deadpool holding the Sword of Omens. I thought there must be a link. I couldn't find one. Adam, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just wondering, is there even a connection in the stories? I mean, I'm just thinking Lion-O wasn't like immortal. Lion-O didn't have some disease.
I think they're both red. Both the sword is red. Deadpool's red. I mean,
red and black. Red and black. Yeah, I think that's probably the thing they have in common.
Thundercats isn't Marvel, is it? Thundercats was, I assume, some toy company.
It might be like Mattel or someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think it's a bit of creativity. I think what's interesting is one eye is open, one eye is closed. That's interesting, I guess.
It's also where he's wearing the he's got a thing around his neck that's quite high, so it's like a neckband, but it's almost right up by his chin. Looks a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit S&M.
Yeah, the name of the artist was a guy called Michael Ogilvy, and I have tracked him down on Twitter, and I might reach out to him and try and find out what on earth he was thinking, because it's a gorgeous image, but I'm still confused by it.
What was amazing is how you knew the name of the artist just off the top of your head.
And I've got a photographic memory.
Yeah, and also I've just had a thought that I'm sure there was a rumor a few years ago that Michael Bay was going to make a Thundercats movie with Ryan Reynolds, but it got shut down. But that could have been what inspired the artist and other artists.
Could be.
There you
go. All right. So listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That is what is on my wall.
That is awesome.
I thought it's what's on my wall.
Oh, sorry. Can we edit that? Start again.
I say grammatically, what's on my wall and what is on my wall is the same.
Yeah,
we're aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying the English language. So on that bombshell of English grammar, we're now going to move on to
Carl's feature.
So what's the big face-off this week? Tell us, who is it between?
So this week we have, I think two of the I think it's going to be a really evenly matched fight this week. I thought we'd stick to the Marvel world, but we've got two separate parts of the Marvel universe. We've got X-Men versus a Marvel character. So I was thinking Jean Grey, who's also known as Dark Phoenix in the X-Men films, versus Captain Marvel. So you've got, interestingly enough, funny enough actually, Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey's other superhero name, apart from Dark Phoenix, is also Marvel Girl, interestingly. So so we've got Marvel Girl versus Captain Marvel, or Marvel, but I think it is actually Captain Marvel, I think.
Can you remind us, Tom, and I did see the Dark Phoenix movie recently, but I'm not as familiar with her powers as I am with Captain Marvel. Can you remind us what she does?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, interesting enough, she can fly. There's actually two bits to her story. There was something called the Phoenix Force, which basically amplified her powers. So it didn't give her any new powers, but it made her a lot more powerful when that happened, and that's when she gets turned into this fiery kind of being. But essentially, it's she can teleport, and she also has telekinesis. So she's basically has the same powers as Charles Xavier as well, but a slightly less powerful version of that. Although actually more powerful, probably less powerful than his powers on their own before they're amplified. So so I thought we'd go with Jean Grey versus Stephen.
Does Jean Grey what does she fire things? Does she, or is she just pushing people about using telekinesis? Does she have
it's a bit of that. Yeah, it's a bit of everything really. She can she's very strong. She can basically push people back with her mind. She basically can push things away, and she can move things and throw things, and she can fly as well. So
can she rip people apart? I mean, I've never watched. I'll be honest. X-Men movies. I used to read the cartoon book. But X-Men movies I'm actually behind on all of them. But I'm sure I've seen YouTube clips. Is she the one that kind of kills people with Xavier? Is she like super powerful? Yeah. So people, so even her other ex-people with powers can't stop her. So she's
I think she would easily be the most powerful out of all the X-Men.
In terms of sort of magic, I guess, rather than strength, because Captain Marvel will be physically stronger. I mean, she flies through spaceships, right? So there's it's not. I don't think it's totally one-sided because.
And also, Jean Grey couldn't breathe in space, I don't think. So Captain Marvel could, in theory, take her into space and probably do her in that way. But then I suppose she would probably just teleport herself away, or
Captain Marvel can take Jean Grey into space and do her in that way.
Yeah.
Did you say that? Is that what you said?
I don't think my intonation was quite that way.
Yeah. I have to say I'm not really X-Men. It sort of passed me by a bit, so I've had to do a bit of googling. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
You're allowed.
My googling concludes that Captain Marvel is pretty much the strongest Marvel superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Physically, the strongest,
and she will be able to just do one over on Jean Grey.
Yes, but that's the Marvel Universe, and until recently, or actually no, even now. Even though that Disney bought them, they still haven't integrated it. So X-Men are not yet in the Marvel.
Good point.
And also, Kevin Feige, whatever his name is, recently did clarify that Scarlet Witch would actually be as powerful, if not more powerful, than Captain Marvel, in his opinion.
Am I allowed to base this on who I find the most attractive, or is that wrong?
No.
Okay, fine.
You're not allowed to have such thoughts.
No, it's not allowed anymore. It's fine if we were doing this in the 1980s. That would have been fine.
But Captain Marvel is set in the 1980s. I think Dark Phoenix might be set around that same time as well. So,
so we could answer this as if we're in the 1980s and Me Too doesn't exist. And we don't need to be politically correct at all. Is this the approach we're taking?
I think probably thinking about it, maybe we should just.
Looking at how she, I think we should do that. We can never go back there. We can never go back there.
Never go back in time, despite Back to the Future. So I'm actually going to say Jean Grey, because I actually believe. My limited knowledge of her is limited, but from what I've seen on YouTube, which is, if it's on YouTube, it must be true. I think she's really damn powerful, and I believe she would ultimately beat Captain Marvel, who is extremely strong and has, I'm sure, some kind of powerful blast energy thing going on, if I remember correctly. But actually, that's it. That's her tricks. She's strong. She can fly and she can blast energy. But I believe Jean Grey eclipses all of that and is like a Doctor Strange on steroids potentially. So I say Jean Grey. That's my vote. Okay.
Thanks for getting through that so quickly. The voters for Jean Grey.
I was worried this episode might be a bit too short. Adam?
Oh, just wait while I ramble for a while about each character that I don't know about, and then I'll conclude. I'm just going to conclude with Captain Marvel.
Simon, what do you think?
Jean Grey.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for Jean Grey as well. So 3-1.
Oh, so there you go. Once again, it's Adam's out on a limb. But
I think that's the wrong answer, Tom. I think you've concluded incorrectly. That's all I can say.
We ramble on a bit more about it before we decide, or just say no.
No. So on that bombshell, Jean Grey would beat Captain Marvel as decided by the Wormies on 4 men on a wormhole. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the latest episode, which is actually episode 7. We've made it to 7. Thank you for those of us who have been with us all the way. Big shout out to Ant Rayleigh. And I'd like to thank Adam Leach for joining us.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
And as to Simon Cohen, thank you for sharing your wall with us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Tal, thank you for supplying Tal's feature and all the excitement it brings. Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Bye, everyone. See you next week. Well, not next week, because it's not a week, is it?
So this is me, Stephen Kurwitz, the host of 4 Men in a Wormhole, signing off.
4 Men in a Wormhole!